Hello everyone, my name is Adiyemo Adegbemiga Ganio and I welcome you to my new Yoruba Abrahamic YouTube video. In today's topic, we shall educationally and intelligently review the three versions of Satan which the mainstream media, as systemically and Abrahamically teaches today, are very unknown to the Africans, and how this whole thing has now become a sort of a vast ridicule to the Africans as a result of their pure unawareness about the whole conspiracy that does surround the satanic origin by default. And most importantly, we shall further use the indigenous and the ancient Yoruba people's intellectual wisdom to analyze and gauge how deep that we Africans has lost ourselves completely in this confused conspiracy of Satan in the modern time. If this is your first time on this channel, please kindly remember to subscribe. Kindly remember to turn up the notification bell, press the like button, make your comment known respectively. All of this will do my channel a great deal. So I really appreciate it. So let's dive into the main topic. Like I said earlier, there are three versions of Satans, and most Africans still hasn't really figured out what they are, why they are in versions, and the reality about why those versions were initially invented to begin with. According to my depth analysis and my research, I later concluded and I titled them the religious Satans as the number one, then the political Satan as the number two, then also the real Satans as the number three. The religious Satan is the unfounded version of Satan that has no historical evidence that they ever existed, but at the same time also happens to be the most accepted one globally through the mainstream push and by the Christian, the Muslim, despite its obvious unexisting fact by 100%. This version of Satan is the one that is being commonly preached within different religious Abrahamic centers. He is being described as an invisible, something you can't see. Within Islamic tradition, he is being described as a dark smoky entity and a fall in the category of the jinn. They also said he does whispers in the heart of men to commit evil, and even through persuasion, he lured them to do things. He lured human beings to do things that they will regret later in the future. He is also being referred as the cursed, the condemned, the banished, and the one who hated humanity out of jealousy, and so on and so forth. The second one had to be the political Satan. When we are talking about the political Satan, this is another fictional version of Satan, which the mainstream media also continues to push and project it up to the time that it has now become a visible creature in the hearts of many, a sort of an imaginable, which now subconsciously become a sort of an existing belief through different projection like entertainment, storybook, and painting. This version is commonly being projected today as a sort of the visible one, something you can see or something you know about that has two horns, claws, tails, reddish and sometimes muscular in physical body, always being associated with sort of a hellish domain or a creature that dwell in an hellish kingdom. At least by 100%, you can see his reflection today in what we refer to as the structure of a Baphomet, because that Baphomet itself were also being honored or worshipped by the same satanic people. So if you see Baphomet, this is how you can understand the version of the political Satan. So lastly, if we are now talking about the real original Satan, that has to do with the version that we can historically ascertain. They are the one we can historically acknowledge. Their legacy are verifiable. The title matches what they did in the past, the present, and obviously what they will likely do in the future. Regarding to this realistic Satan, they are people of tribe. They are people of ethnic, not just one. And that has always been validated by the Quran and in the Bible too, the synagogue, the tribe of Satan. You can see it. I'm not the one making all this up. They are humans, like the Bible and the Quran ascertain. They are humans whose natural way of life, their tradition are extremely abnormal compared to a sane human being. We are talking about someone who can just wake up in the morning that practically think of not even thinking of having intersexual with the opposite gender, or even not of the same gender, but we just feel like having sex with an animal, like woman to dog, all this kind of thing. They are incredibly insane, as in their thinking is completely abnormal. They are the ones who they have this. So I'm not making all this up. This is exactly what your Bible. So to be called a Satan is not just being deceitful. It's not just about. It's not just being abnormal. Someone who naturally do something abnormal and think it's normal. That is exactly what the kind of Satan we are talking about here. The man to man, the consuming of fellows human flesh. You know of that as of the 11th century. They consume, they said it's a medicinal, all this nonsense thing. They are obsessed with chaos. There are people who funded war. They thrive in bad things. Contradiction to natural order. So when we are talking about Satanism, according to the biblical or the Quranic or the traditional Abrahamic text, we are talking about people whose naturality are completely non-normal as a human. And there is something about these three versions of Satan that people really don't pay close attention to, especially we Africans who follow anything goes. We follow here they say, just ring a bell, the African will flocks in masses. Especially my very own religious Yoruba people who are into churching, because Africa has the largest church, Nigeria has the largest mega churches in the world, the pastor. So we have people likewise in North Africa in North Africa, I mean the black, who are obsessed with Islamic. There is something you need to understand relating to this topic. But before I connect the three dots of these versions of Satan together, let me give you a brief illustration first that will make you be able to understand things I will be saying clearer next. Let's assume that there are 10 groups of armed robbers or armed gangs who lived in the city and has always robbed the city time to time in memorial to acquire and amass wealth for themselves, but without anybody even knowing who they are, what they look like, where they live. Because obviously, before they can go into the robbery tax, they will always need to hide their identity by putting on masks. With this illustrative framework, these are the followings everyone needs to know. These are the followings what you should expect of this culprit. For those gang robbers to be able to even sustain their criminal activity for long, or even if they still want to, they must always do everything possible in their ability to make sure that their true identity remains solidly hidden to the commoners. I hope you understand that. If those the 10 gang members reveal their identity, then their game is over. The law will cut up with them, and likewise themselves, they become a problem to themselves. So they will always do everything to make sure that their identity is hidden at all costs. And again, for those 10 gang robbers to prevent themselves from being a suspect in the eyes of the community, they must also engage in certain kind of appearances, a disguise. They must also appear to look like a saint, an easy fella, a friendly neighborhood. You know, this is why they said Satan is always the most adorable when it comes to his appearances, something you can never think of. In fact, in some cases, the culprits always be the one to throw out something we call charity. They will give out charity. They do many humanitarian services, whereas they are the evil rotting the society. That is exactly so that they will be the least you can ever think of that are committing this crime. That is exactly what these 10 gang robbers will also try to be doing. The third thing is that for these 10 gang criminals to be fully grounded in their robbery profession, they may also need to start pretending to be on the side of the masses. When the masses are crying out that there are thieves all over, we are no more safe, they themselves will be showing sympathy. They themselves will enjoy the law of the land, the police. They will be trying to pretend to be part of those who want, whereas they are the one. In order for their, and in most cases, when wars come to wars, they will always look for the petty thief as the scapegoat to be prosecuted for all the crime they do, so that they can go scot-free and they can always be free. They can always not be accountable for their past. If you now apply this exact illustration to the three versions of Satan, which the mainstream media are now teaching today, you will understand where I'm going. These 10 gang thieves, those those gang, the armed robber who perpetrate evil across the city through continual robbery, they can now be likened to how the real Satan in real time manifested. Because the real Satans, you can never see them. No one can ever come out to say, I am this real Satan. But the trend, their characteristics, what they've done in the past can always tell. But you can't expect Satan to come out. So they will always sponsor the whole fictional Satan, so that they don't want to be identified in order not to be accountable for what they are truly is or what they are doing. Another thing is that this 10 gang robbers act of appearing as Satan can also be likened to how the satanic people work freely today as the choosing, the saints of the earth. You can see in that Revelation 14, like Revelation as it described them, he said, they act like this, they act like the choosing people, like the original Jews, but whereas they are not. In fact, they are the opposite of the chosen people of heaven. They are liars, they are impersonators. Just look at how they look today. You will be shocked. You will think that no, the Almighty is living in them. Whereas, as easy as they look or they seem to appear, they run the world. Their population as small, they run the world, they dictate. They've run the world into chaos. So this is what you need to know. This is why I use that illustration to understand what Satan's truly mean from the real life, not from the abstract lens of it. Then again, the 10 gang robbers, their act of pretending to care for the communal of the citizen can also be why they remain the real origin of the evil, can also be likened to how these satanic people they always appear to be the ambassador of peacemaker in the world, whereas they are the one who fund all the unalivers. I'm trying to mind my unalivers, terror stuff, unalivers in Middle East, in Africa. At the same time, they will be the one coming to preach peace in the mainstream media. We are the king of the world. We want peace today. They are the ones sponsoring it. I'm not the one saying it. There are leaks videos about them. The first word on they are the ones creating military bases. You know, I'm trying to mind my word. So this is exactly how Satan works in a slope. This is why I put this illustration. And as expected, just as the 10 gang robber will be doing everything possible in order to be in order not to be accountable for all their evil deeds, that is how they will be looking for scapegoats that shall be accused, that the public people shall be accused of their, like today, the Africans. So many things are happening. I'm telling you the truth. This, in a nutshell, the real Satans also now decided to create a mirrored versions of themselves. The real Satans are humans, which the Abrahamic text has validated. They are humans. They are humans who are committing the evil of this world. But in order not to be accused or be pointed at to, they had to create an imaginary and non-existing or fictional Satans, which the Africans can be blaming for their downfall, whereas the real Satans are in some way enjoying the wealth they looted from Africa. Do you understand? So Africans are blaming the unrealistic Satan, while the real Satans are enjoying. They are not taking accountability for what they. So it's like a proxy. It's like a proxy. So when we put all these things together, you will understand how the whole systemic Satan, why they created a sort of a fictional Satan that will represent them, because they don't want to be accused, they don't want to be accountable, they are enjoying what they are doing. Do you understand? So which humanity can also continue to cause, blame, and accuse of their woes in life, while the original Satan, which are the culprits, remain in the dark, watch and smile the Africans as they fool around themselves, calling on a Satan that does not exist. Importantly, this also needs to be said. The term Satan itself was actually a Yoruba word from their literal day-to-day utterances from Ashe-etan, biblically as Ashe-etan or Satan in your Bible from all your dialect tone, and Ashe-etan or Shaitan from the Ile-Ife dialect, which the Abrahamic Quran wrote down. And it both means the deceiver or manipulative or the two-faced people. Therefore, it wasn't a coincidence as well that the Abrahamic teaching now later equally re-echoed the meaning, as they also agree that they are actually a controversial human being, the adversary, those which always go against the normal thing, the abnormal kind of people. Like I said, the real Satans are obviously responsible for the state of the world. They've run the world to a chaotic state as we are now, either as through the cabals, whichever nickname you nickname them, you call them the cabals, the elite, the occultic brotherhood. They all watches humanity as we blame ourselves, whereas they are the one in the dark and the shadows. You know how the mafian world works? That is exactly. The boss will be unknown. In fact, the real gang leader will be the most simplest in terms of attitude, friend of the society, whereas he is the one running the show. This is why they brought about the term mafian. In the case of we Africans, we have not just lost ourselves completely to this fictional conspiracy, which has led to our downfall, but also we have become a ridicule of ourselves. Our intelligence within the concept of this Satan is very laughable. For an instant, imagine a Muslim who is just about to eat his food in his own house and is saying, "A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim." In Muslim, alternatively, it basically saying, "Oh, the Almighty, please prevent me from this synagogue of Satan, from not eating the food that I put in my table." How does that make sense? You are rebuking someone, a real human being who doesn't even know that you exist, that is living outside Africa. You are rebuking him from the food you use your hand to cook inside your own house. It's because we don't know. We say so many unrealistic things. Or, "God, please, Almighty, please prevent the people of this synagogue of Satan, which the Abrahamic text identify outside Africa, from disturbing my sleep." How can people outside be disturbing your sleep in your own house? Let me even illustrate this in a better way that you guys will be able to understand how gibberish the things that we say. We Africans now make a logic of this Satan look very ridiculous if you actually know the true meaning of this word. Like, "God, please." It's like saying, "God, please prevent Donati from coming to hot the water which I'm about to drink from my tap in Ghana." What is the relationship between Donati in America with the water you want to drink in? I'm just using that as an illustration to show how detached they are, not coherent, as in they don't have anything to do. So these are the gibberish things they give us to be saying in order to rebuke Satan. Why the real Satan just keep laughing us that in fact the African Abrahamic religionists even take this obsession of Satan fiction to the higher level that as of today, I'm pretty sure even God the Almighty will be sorry for us. You will see, like, an African Christian or Muslim today will blame the human Satans in Europe for sneezing or coughing in the African villages. How does that make sense? You are rebuking someone who is having malaria with, we see a whole lot of things. If you put it together, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, and it's as a result of us not reading. We believe our heaven and earth education is in the Bible, which the colonial master gave to us. So how can you think beyond that? Therefore, the extreme illogical and the abnormal of ignorance that we have applied to this satanic ideology is so overwhelming. Also became why it's equally now easy for us, Samuel Ajayi Crowder as well, to accuse Eshu or Lailu, the Yoruba people ancestral father, as Satan, because anyone can just come up with a conspiracy with this Satan. Because the Satan logic, the ideology of Satan has always been very laughable. Sometimes you might people need to read. That is just, I would just say. So these are the version of Satan they are giving to us. All we just need is for us to see the handwriting and think aside the box. I will see you in my next video. Please make your comment known below respectively. I like everyone. This is not an attack on everyone. I love everyone. Humanity comes first. But at some point, we just have to teach history the exact way it is. So history doesn't know who is right or who is wrong. It's about what is right, what is true, and what is false. So I will see you in my next video, everyone. Everyone, take care of it. Bye for now.